Travis Wesley had a really rough day. It's not every day your wife of 23 years tells you she's going out with other men starting tonight. Travis sat at the kitchen table for 10 minutes, drinking a glass of monkey shoulder scotch. He didn't drink it, he just sat there staring ahead blankly, feeling a sharp ache within him. Travis knew no amount of Alka-Seltzer could relieve the pain gnawing at his stomach. He'd heard tales of other men's wives mentioning going out with other men, but he'd always dismissed it as nothing more than a city legend. How could a woman assume her devoted husband would accept her dating someone else? He couldn't fathom how a woman could be so callous towards her own husband, so blatantly selfish in her desires. This occurred on Monday, yet it was a pleasant day at Travis's workplace. He left around 5 in high spirits, whistling as he went into the house, still feeling happy. He found his wife sitting at the kitchen table, drinking a glass of red wine and his favorite whiskey. He sat down, took out his briefcase, poured 3 fingers of the liquid and sat down. "Lauren?" Travis asked, looking at him with a grin. She met his gaze, her grin slightly mischievous. He didn't like what he saw in her eyes. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Do you think I've been a good wife and mother all this time?" After a few years, she asked Travis, who was completely calm and collected, if he thought she'd been a good wife and mother. She could almost see the gears turning in his head before he replied with a simple yes. She then asked if he thought she deserved some form of recognition for it. Travis took a few more moments to think carefully about the question. "Should I expect a reward for doing what's expected of a good husband and father?" he replied. "Why are you even asking me this?" he added, sounding irritated. "I'd like to go out today," Travis said. On a date with another man, she stated calmly, as serene as a lake on a perfect morning. Travis was grateful to be seated. He felt a surge of bile creeping up his throat. His mind was like an erased blackboard, utterly blank, as he struggled to process her request to go on a date with another man. Lauren regarded her husband with a look that made him feel like a foolish child. She nodded slowly, "Yes, with another man. It's been 24 years since you and I became exclusive, and I haven't dated anyone else since then. She's a loyal wife and devoted mother to our children. She believes she deserves a night out with someone else, just a chance to experience something new. She's not seeking love, but she's seeking pleasure. She wants to explore other options while she's still desirable and can have them at her fingertips." Travis's jaw slowly dropped in disbelief. He knew he had heard his wife correctly, but surely she couldn't be serious. Could she? He didn't even need to voice the question. Lauren nodded at him as though she could read his thoughts. "Damn," he muttered as she rose from the table and went upstairs to change clothes. She came back down moments later looking stunning in a little black dress that hugged her figure. It featured a daring cutout revealing part of her chest without a bra, and it barely reached mid-thigh in length. Her makeup was subtle. A beautiful woman needed little adornment. Her long blonde hair was pulled back into a high ponytail. It was a sight to behold. Lauren noticed that at that moment. Her husband was completely under her spell. "I won't allow this," Lauren Travis declared, rising from her seat. "I don't know what you're thinking or what you're up to, but you won't go through with this while still being my wife." Lauren's bright smile twisted into a bitter grin spread across your face. "You won't spoil my evening, Trav. You can talk tough, but deep down you know you won't divorce me over this. Where else will you find a woman like me? You know it's true, and the kids will be furious with you for tearing our family apart. Toughen up, Travis. Let me enjoy myself for a while. Then it'll just be you and me again, growing old together. You love me, Travis. You don't want to be alone while I have plenty of options. I'm going to enjoy myself for a while, and then it'll just be you and me again, growing old together. You love me, Travis. You don't want to be alone while I have plenty of options." A car horn honked outside. Lauren grabbed a small bag and moved towards Travis, attempting to kiss him goodbye. He recoiled as if jolted by an electric shock, stepping aside. Lauren looked momentarily surprised and hurt, then her expression hardened into anger. "I'll be back," she said, leaving. He watched in horror as she exited through the door. Could his 23-year marriage really be ending? It seemed like their 23-year marriage was really ending. Lauren didn't even glance back at him as she departed. Researchers have confirmed that individuals blessed with good looks often have an advantage in life over their more average peers. They easily form friendships, attract more attention, and even receive better grades. In Lauren's case, this proved to be true. It was only when she turned 13 and her bosom fully developed that she realized she could use her looks to her advantage. She learned that a flutter of her eyelashes and a smile could win over almost any boy she desired. For those boys who played hard to get, she simply emphasized her physical attributes a little more. Travis was one of these boys, but he fell under Lauren's charm almost immediately upon meeting her. His family relocated to the city just before he started 8th grade. He met Lauren on his first day of school and was instantly captivated. Travis was a talented athlete who was popular among his peers. He eventually gathered the courage to invite Lauren on a high school date, and she accepted. They began dating and stayed together until the initial weeks of their junior year in the local high school. That's when Lauren ended things with the young man to pursue Landon, who was a starting player on the school's football team at that time. Travis was 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 110 pounds, whereas Estes was 6 feet 2 inches tall and 190 pounds. Despite feeling hurt, Travis acknowledged the situation and understood that Lauren was on a different level in terms of looks. In fact, most of the boys at school couldn't compete with her in that regard. Lauren was dating a football player, so she hung out with the popular crowd at school. Travis didn't have any close friends at school. He dated a few girls, but he didn't interact with Lauren much. When they did see each other, she treated him like a stranger. Travis eventually came to terms with it, though he was still angry. By his senior year, he had grown 2 inches taller and gained 40 pounds. He was a handsome and athletic young man, though he didn't quite measure up to Lauren. Still, few did. He attended prom with his attractive but not exceptional girlfriend that night. They both lost their purity to each other. Lauren was crowned prom queen while her date was named prom king. They also had sex after graduating. However, before this, she wasn't a virgin. Sometimes she manipulated situations to her advantage. Sex was always part of the deal for any guy lucky enough to date Lauren after high school. Travis went on to study accounting at Michigan State University. Over the course of his 4 years there, he dated several girls but didn't get serious with any of them. Meanwhile, Lauren studied marketing at Central Michigan University. She dated and slept with numerous men during her college years, even becoming involved with a marketing professor to improve her knowledge. After years of being desired, Lauren had become highly adept at the game. They both landed jobs in Grand Rapids after college, nearly a year post-graduation. Travis and several colleagues on a Friday night at a popular bar and restaurant, workers were unwinding when Lauren entered with 2 companions. All eyes immediately turned to the striking woman in the short green dress with a plunging neckline. Lauren hardly acknowledged the attention. By then, it had become routine for her. Steve White exclaimed to the entire table, "Who's that goddess?" Workers without pause. Travis instinctively responded, "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Lauren, SS Goddess, and my middle school sweetheart." Many heads at the table turned from the woman to Travis. Many were gaping in surprise. One incredulously asked, "Do you know her?" Travis winced, disliking any attention drawn to himself. "We were about 14. Once high school started, I became invisible. She ignored me for all 4 years." He muttered quietly, "So what?" One of the women at the table asked if there were any juicy stories from back then, which made the group laugh. Lauren and her friend looked over as she thought she recognized one of the men at the table. The trio then sat down nearby with Lauren facing the table of the man she thought she knew. "Why not go over and say hi?" Steve joked. "You're practically drooling over him," Casey Gardell added. "Colleague, she acted like she didn't know me for 4 years. I don't get why she'd remember me now." Travis muttered, nodding in agreement with several others. Meanwhile, Lauren observed the man while enjoying her meal. Then she snapped her fingers and pointed at him. It's not wise, Lauren cautioned. Pointing at someone in a restaurant could lead to trouble in certain places. She paid no heed to her friend's comment. I'll be right back, she said. She said she needed to say hello to an old friend. Lauren practically leaped from her chair and strode over to Travis's table. Trav, hello. I'm so happy to see you, she said as she approached him. Travis rolled his eyes at his friends before turning to face his former classmate with a forced smile. Lauren, it's nice to see you, Travis said, his voice flat and emotionless. Lauren moved quickly to stand in front of him and kissed him on the lips, placing her hands on his shoulders. Their colleagues sat in disbelief, and Travis seemed taken aback as well. Lauren noticed and flashed him a smile that seemed to have a hidden meaning. She felt relaxed playing this game, knowing he couldn't reciprocate. Let's head back to our table. I'll introduce you to my friends, she suggested, taking his hand and practically pulling him along. He spent most of the evening with Lauren and her two friends before leaving. Lauren took his phone, added her number, and she took it for herself. Lauren found it intriguing that Travis seemed indifferent to her. It was a new experience for her. He was polite in the restaurant, but divided his attention equally between her and her friends throughout the evening. She kissed him several times, but he never responded. On Monday morning, Travis's colleague, the bar staff, were curious about his interaction with the striking woman and were surprised when he told them he'd only been at the bar for an hour before heading home. She was impressive, but out of his league by about 14 levels. I understand, he grumbled. I don't need that kind of drama. Travis had a similar experience. 2 days later, Travis was distressed in the parking lot at his workplace. He'd just left work and was waiting by the car when he spotted her. She was dressed in a size too small and exuded undeniable allure. Why didn't you call me? She murmured softly as he approached. Travis fought the urge to widen his eyes as he scanned her figure. He felt the urge to widen his eyes as he scanned Lauren's figure like a starving man glimpsing his first meal in weeks. Her low-cut top was unbuttoned down to her cleavage, and the hem was just about 5 centimeters below her waist. He muttered under his breath as she leaned in to wrap her arms around his neck and plant a kiss. He felt powerless as she pressed against him, his hand slipping around her waist and grazing her backside. She was wearing underwear, but he didn't care. His tongue slid into her mouth like a snake, and he forgot about his briefcase. He grabbed her other part of the rear and the kiss extended. After what felt like an age, they finally broke apart. Lauren quickly adjusted her dress to cover her underwear, and several colleagues left in their cars, looking shocked. They went out for dinner at a restaurant just outside the city center, enjoying their meal, though Lauren kept tugging at her dress. Both Travis and the young waitress seemed amused by the situation. Travis was still cautious around Lauren, but in her presence he felt powerless. He hoped he would perform well in bed that night. Oh my God, Travis muttered to himself as he gazed at the undressed Lauren for the first time. The woman was the goddess Travis had always imagined. If this was his only chance to give it his all, he had to make sure that lust didn't get in the way of his emotions as they lay facing each other, locking eyes. Lauren grinned lasciviously. I made a huge mistake years ago. You're incredible. Who knew? If only I'd realized. We've wasted so many years. Trav, Lauren saw potential in me, but I didn't match her in looks. I was handsome, fit, and seemed destined for success, and I was good in bed. I thought she was talking to herself. Travis admitted, despite his reservations, mainly about her self-esteem. As their relationship grew, Travis came to admire Lauren for who she really was. I bought an engagement ring, but before proposing, we sat down to talk about fidelity. Travis said that what happened in the past stays there. I feel the same, but I need to know what the future holds. I want to be exclusive with you, no exceptions. If you're not sure you can commit, I need to know now. He placed there was a black box on the table between them. Lauren locked eyes with Travis, then glanced at the box. I will never betray my husband, she said firmly. Never. Travis opened the box. He recalled her words. Apparently, his wife didn't consider this betrayal. Given the advance warning, he knew that wasn't the case. She hoped he would interpret it that way, because if he didn't, he wasn't truly accepting it. Travis knew Lauren had countless opportunities to stray over the years. Yet, as far as he knew, she'd rejected them all. She was a faithful wife. She was perfect. 10 or 12, while he thought he was a 6 at best, leaving lots of room for someone more physically compatible to catch her eye, assuming she didn't have an affair. I don't know if she's been a true wife for 23 years. Travis thought he should be grateful for those years, but he wasn't. When he said "I love you," he meant forever, not just 23 years. In fact, not a week went by without Lauren receiving proposals, not just from men. Travis added that she knew she was more than just beautiful. She was extraordinary, a rare goddess among the merely beautiful. When God crafted his wife, he had an exceptional day. Travis always joked that initially, Lauren would inform him whenever she faced unwanted attention. However, after a few years, Travis assured her that he trusted her enough not to disclose everything. He only wished to be informed if the unwelcome advances persisted after her initial rejection so that he could intervene if necessary. Conversely, women rarely approach Travis. This is partly because he uses his wedding ring almost like a shield. In moments of meeting a woman, Travis was always chatting about his wife and kids, which put a stop to any potential interest. Lauren was completely unaware that her husband's behavior was deterring any flirtations. Their marriage lasted 22 years until Rosa Esposito joined their company. Rosa was working at the same public relations firm as Lauren and was described as being like a Bob Seger song. Rosa was very attractive, with her dark hair, big brown eyes and ample bosom, and she attracted men like a magnet, despite her potential superior solutions. She was a loyal assistant to Lauren, who was known for her ability to bring people together. Rose had been married for 15 years but expressed her desire for something more. She openly shared stories of her romantic experiences, painting vivid pictures of passionate encounters with various partners. During a coffee break at work, Rose commented, "I'm not saying I'm not curious, but I'd never." Travis Lauren said recently that she'd noticed a drop in the attention she gets from men at bars and restaurants. It seems that younger women often get the look she once did, which is making her doubt her allure. "Let's play what if," she said to Rose. "What if your hubby gave you the green light?" Lauren's expression showed that she'd never thought about such a scenario before. Her thoughts were racing. "I suppose if I had his blessing, it would change everything," she admitted with a mischievous grin. "Ever thought about asking for it?" They said everything worth having is worth asking for. Lauren had never considered this before. Her face flickered with intrigue before darkening with uncertainty. "Never grant me permission." "Never." "Should I do everything for you?" "Ask Rose for implicit permission. Tell him, then take what you want regardless of his answer. Convince him he loves you enough to allow it. That you can navigate this together. Love isn't the issue. You love only him." Travis stirred at the sound of a car nearing the house. He realized it was past 3. "It's 0 a.m. He glanced at the half-empty bottle of Woodford Reserve and quipped to Lauren as she entered, "Great night, huh?" He studied the caricature of his wife, noting her disheveled hair, absent makeup, and rumpled clothes. She seemed more smug than remorseful. "I could say the same to you," she retorted. "You didn't have to wait up. You know, I'm going to bed, and you might be too, but never again with you." He shot back. Lauren shot him a look of disdain and went upstairs. Travis poured more bourbon and started watching ESPN. He spent the night in his recliner, feeling sick by 9. He made breakfast while he ate. He heard the shower in the master bathroom. Usually, Lauren would come down in a robe with her hair wrapped up. This time, she came down dressed and made up. "Did you leave me anything to eat?" "I made coffee, but you can cook for yourself." "Since you're dressed at home now, it's time to." Travis was firm in his reply. Lauren was taken aback by his composure. She had anticipated a more emotional response from him. Travis was more measured in his approach. He was aware of her expectations. He was curious to know her thoughts on the previous night. He could sense her air of superiority. He was interested to know if she truly believed he wanted to. I don't want to hear about being betrayed. I want to know your vision for our marriage moving forward. Travis replied evenly. As I mentioned yesterday, I plan to explore other men over several years. I'm not talking about love, just sex. I love you, but I want the thrill of something new. You're amazing in bed, but I crave variety. I've spent 23 years devoted to you, and I'm still desirable. I've never thought of betraying you. I'm looking for the excitement of the unknown. You're incredible, but I want to try something different for a while. Then we'll ride into the sunset together, and I'll be grateful for the experience. I'll spoil you exclusively for the rest of our days. Lauren explained. Travis listened intently. He was preparing toast and jam for his coffee when she spoke. He found her manner of buttering the toast rather detached, even while discussing his life's most crucial matters. He had numerous questions. Is it all about seeking variety? Am I insufficient for you? He inquired, his voice strained. Before she could respond, he interjected, so you propose an open marriage for a while, then returning to monogamy later? Does this mean I can see other people too? Lauren tried to suppress her laughter. The idea of her sweet, reserved husband asking another woman out was amusing. Travis was the most traditional about marriage of anyone she had ever met. However, if this was what it took for him to agree in theory, then yes, she affirmed. Of course, I expect it to be purely physical for you as well. Travis raised his eyebrows and shrugged. Lauren didn't understand what this meant, but she had a feeling he was saying he'd like to go out with Rose. She's a nice woman from my office. I'm sure she'd be delighted. Lauren suggested this, knowing her friend would be willing to help her achieve her goal of remaining married while pursuing other romantic partners. Travis looked confused. He was 21 and still a virgin. The 21-year-old bachelor and him wanted Rose, but the responsible 47-year-old married man knew he couldn't indulge. I'd be happy to go out with Rose, he said, but no, thank you. That'd make me as much a cheater as you were last night. Lauren's initially smiling face twisted into a grimace of anger. I am not a cheater, she shouted. Well, if you say so, he responded, far more seriously than she anticipated. I still don't agree to this, she retorted. You come around, honey, because I'm doing it regardless. She said this on Monday morning around 11. 00 Rose entered Lauren's office and noticed her discontent. To hell with that close-minded fool, Lauren muttered, shutting the door behind Rose. Darn it, he even turned down a date with you. Rose frowned. I didn't realize I was on the table. She gave a little laugh. Forget it. How could he resist this? She gestured to her body. How was the date? Did you have fun? Or did Travis spoil it? Jonas really knows how to please a woman, Lauren said. It's been ages since I've been with another man, so I definitely appreciated the change. Who do you think I should try next? They both laughed. Lauren was happy that there were no immediate divorce papers and that there was minimal interaction between them. She decided not to ask Travis about his intentions. He wasn't keen to rush into divorce. He was holding on to hope that she'd come to her senses and put a stop to her foolish plans of infidelity. He believed that forgiveness and moving on from her mistake were possible if she gave up her reckless pursuit. His optimism grew when Lauren missed a date the following week, despite them still being separated and having difficulty communicating. He saw a glimmer of hope, however. On the next Friday evening, Lauren was once again impeccably dressed, seemingly prepared for a date. Are you seriously considering this again with the same guy, or are you eyeing someone else this week? Travis asked, sharply. Damn, Trav. Did you not hear anything I said? This isn't about you. It's about me fulfilling desires before I lose my allure. It's not that I want you any less. I just crave more. I want to be clear that I'm constantly pursued and I just want to indulge, but I'll always come back to you. What if I don't want you to come back? I won't share you. I won't stand by while you enjoy yourself. This isn't who I am. I won't wait while you test half the men in town. One date is okay, but twice is utter disrespect and betrayal. Spending all night out partying is disrespectful and disrespectful. We're finished. That's not my purpose on this earth, he said firmly. She laughed and waved her fingers in front of her face. You don't want to lose me. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Last week, Travis asked his lawyer to prepare all the necessary documents, hoping they wouldn't be needed. He planned to call his wife on Monday morning, but first he had to tell his daughters when he called them that evening. Neither Jackie, 21, and Michelle, 19, didn't seem surprised, but when he spoke to them he realized that Jackie might have had an inkling. He said, "You knew she was heading towards this disaster and didn't tell me." He was angry and said, "You don't think I deserve to know what was happening? Please, Daddy. I was in a tough spot. Either way, one of you wouldn't have been pleased with me. Plus, it's her body, it's not. It's yours to control. If she wants to share it, stop. Don't go on." Travis interjected, "I get that she's put you in a tough spot, but don't tell me she can do whatever she pleases with her body whenever she pleases, because this body belongs to her. Dolly's vows abolish discussion about her body. I understand, but he started before she cut in. Damn Daddy," she murmured when Lauren came in at 2. When Travis arrived at 8 a.m., he seemed a bit out of sorts. Gabriel Esposito was a big, strong guy, probably the best bed partner she'd ever had. By the end of the night, she could barely move, expecting to have a couple of bruises from his grip. Overall, it was a fantastic night. She figured she could see Gabriel again sometime. Receiving divorce papers at her office on Monday morning left Lauren shocked and embarrassed. She broke down in tears and rushed to the ladies' room, where Rose found her shortly after. "You should have expected him to serve you," Rose remarked. "He's trying to hurt you back. Men can be so childish, seeking retaliation. Give him a week to stew alone, he'll come crawling back." Pulling herself together, Lauren returned to her desk, grabbed her phone, and dialed her husband's number. "How could you do this to me in front of everyone at the office? I know you're hurting, but I deserve better." Lauren practically yelled into the phone after 23 years. "Don't I deserve more than you deciding on your own to open our marriage? If I'm not right for you, couldn't you have given me a heads up so we could part ways like adults? I don't want civility. I don't want a divorce. I still love you." She sobbed. "I still love you, but every time you sleep with someone else, that love fades." He growled, "My love isn't bottomless like yours. I always believed that maybe we were both." Despite Travis's resistance, Lauren pursued divorce. Her lawyer arranged marriage counseling with Travis, who was unwillingly participating. When they arrived at the consultant's office, they were surprised to find Lillian Kamak waiting. The data on marriage counselors suggests that most aim to reconcile divorcing couples, often with a bias favoring women. The consultant began by asking the basics. "Mrs. Wesley, did you inform your husband about your intention to date other men for a few years?" Travis tried to hide his smirk, while Lauren struggled to conceal her shock. "Yes, I did," she replied quietly. "That's what I want. I don't need him to do it for me. It won't affect our marriage." The consultant then concluded, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Mrs. Wesley. I'll inform the judge and put an end to this charade." "But," Lauren stuttered, "if you thought for a moment that what you did to your husband would work with me, then you're delusional. You should be ashamed. You disgust me." Over the following month, Lauren reached out to Travis multiple times a day. He'd settled into a small apartment nearby, and she couldn't get through to him. Eventually, she enlisted their daughter's help, prompting them to call him Dad. "You still love her," Michelle said during one of these conversations. "If she stopped seeing other men, would you reconsider?" Michelle asked, and there was a long, silent pause while he digested her words. He was taken aback by how quickly news of his impending divorce spread, especially among single women at work. Several women expressed sympathy for his marital woes, including those who were mutual friends with him and his wife. Travis wasn't naive. He knew not all their condolences were purely compassionate. Connie, a longtime friend of his, was one of them. Wives called to express her condolences and almost overtly offered him emotional support. Travis was surprised by her open flirtation, considering she had never shown interest in him throughout their acquaintance. "I wouldn't pursue a friend's husband, that's just wrong," she assured him. "Now that you're single, things are different. I'm interested in you. I'm surprised and flattered, but I'm not officially single yet. Connie, we won't start anything until after the divorce." "I may be old," Travis said. "You're such a reliable person. That's one of the things I admire about you. Can you at least set me up on a date once you're free?" Connie said, "Of course." Travis agreed, "But I don't want to disrupt your friendship with Lauren. You've been friends for years. I appreciate your consideration, but I shouldn't let an opportunity pass just because it's unconventional." Connie replied, "Maybe I'll give you a call when I'm off." Travis joked that Connie was an attractive Asian woman standing at 5 feet 8 inches tall with a toned physique and waist-length black hair. She was certainly appealing to him, who was surprised that she showed interest in him. True to his word, Travis contacted Connie on the day his divorce was finalized. They went out for dinner and to a local jazz club that Saturday evening. Connie noticed Travis's unease and remarked on it. He confessed that it had been over 26 years since he'd gone on a date with someone. "Other than Lauren, are you saying the contraceptive in your wallet is the same one from your last date before her?" She teased, "Should I have brought one? I didn't even think about it. I'm definitely out of practice." Travis admitted at the end of the night, "Connie kissed me gently, leaving us both feeling content." Travis promised to call again, removing his wedding ring on the day his divorce was finalized. It didn't seem significant to Travis, but apparently it was a big deal to single women. Several female colleagues noticed the absence of his ring and commented on it, leading to a noticeable increase in flirting in the office. The other workers noticed his ring was missing and commented on it, which led to a noticeable increase in flirting in the office. This was all new to Travis, and one day during lunch he confided in his best friend at work about the sudden attention. He said, "Wow, there are so many stunning women in this office. How did I not notice this before?" Travis exclaimed, "My friend, you were the epitome of a henpecked man." Robert Ardito added, "You were so head over heels for her that you didn't even see other women as attractive. Sure, she's beautiful, but you let her control you. Maybe that was part of the issue. She's always testing boundaries. There's value in that, and you were so conditioned." Travis was sending out such a vibe that not a single woman even glanced his way in the initial month after the divorce. He went on 4 dates, 2 with Connie, while he hadn't yet slept with any of them. That wasn't his aim, though. By the second month, demand remained high, and he ended up sleeping with 2 women. Travis's daughters, who had been more in touch with their mother than he had, she said that while she could easily find a boyfriend, her dad struggled to find a girlfriend. They felt sorry for him and paid him a surprise visit one Saturday morning, about 2 months after the divorce. Travis wasn't happy about being woken up at 8:36, especially after entertaining his guest late the previous night. Sonia was a buxom 25-year-old. The old lady was a friend of mine who needed a reliable escort for her wedding. The evening went so well that they decided to continue it at Travis's apartment, just as Sonia was asleep in his bed. Travis, dressed in a robe, opened the door to find his daughters smiling with bags of breakfast goodies. "What's going on?" he asked, surprised as Jackie called out as she and Sonia unpacked the breakfast bags. They'd exchanged kisses on the cheek and were sitting at the kitchen table, halfway through their bagels, when Sonia emerged from the bedroom in one of Travis's shirts, partially unbuttoned and likely nothing else underneath. "We had guests," baby Sonia said, smiling at her mom. "You call the shots." Both girls blushed as Sonia poured herself coffee. "No, Sonia, these are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle," Travis clarified, pointing to each of them. We were having breakfast bagels with salmon, Sonia giggled, causing her ample braless bosom to jiggle as she brushed against Travis's arm and sat down next to him. The four of them chatted casually until Jackie brought up the subject of Travis's recent interactions with Lauren. His mood changed, marking the first time in days that he'd felt bothered. Up until that moment, he'd thought it was nearly impossible to be upset around Sonia, despite her being a bit too much for his 48-year-old a year. "I have to admit, Dad, we thought you might be missing Mom already." Michelle said, "We know she misses you, but we thought when you were gone she'd be living her best life." "I know I was her anchor, though she's been entertaining them two at a time in our old bed." Jackie said, "You know, seriously, consider this for a moment. How many different guys has she slept with since we broke up? I knew about those two before I left." Both girls blushed and looked away. "Wow. If it's 2 guys a month for 10 months, that's 20 different guys with 3 guys a month, 30 in total. That's a lot of guys," Sonia remarked. If looks could eliminate Travis's daughters, they would have put Sonia 6 feet under in seconds. She was well aware of this. "Hey, don't blame me if a woman can't keep her legs shut," Sonia quipped. Children, let's not ruin my good mood." Over the weekend, Travis got involved. "So, are you two an item?" Jackie asked Sonia quietly. "You don't look much older than me," she replied. "Your dad said we're the same age, but don't worry. I won't ever be your stepmother. We're just friends. He's a great guy. He was my date at the wedding reception last night. He's kind of a hottie." "Did I mention he's a great guy?" "Well, we can agree he's a great guy. We know he can be a bit of an idiot." Jackie commented that he was attractive for someone old enough to be her dad. Now it was Sonia's turn to blush. Travis blushed too. "Hey, babe, remember we have lunch with the Newlyweds families at the hotel at noon. I need to shower and grab some clothes from my place before we go," Sonia reminded both daughters, who rolled their eyes at their father. "She's my age," Jackie informed her mother during lunch a few weeks later. It didn't seem like a one-off thing. They spent quite a while together and enjoyed each other's company. "I don't think he'll come crawling back to you anytime soon. You just caught him on a good day. He probably helped a friend's kid and got lucky. She's probably a loose woman. Your dad's a great guy, but he's not a player." Jackie retorted, "Somewhere along the line, you decided that. Was it all about you? Was it worth it for the first time?" Lauren's face showed how hard it was for her to hear what Rose was saying. Everything sounded much rosier than it actually was. She couldn't tell her daughter that the lovemaking was ordinary. But it wasn't worth it, and she couldn't admit that she never imagined Travis doing anything other than moping over his beautiful ex-wife. She was so self-absorbed that she didn't realize a good-looking guy with great qualities, intelligence, and a stable job could be highly desirable on the dating scene. Not just for middle-aged women either. Post-divorce, Travis dated several women, including her old friend Connie. Now he's dating a young promiscuous woman who's the same age as their eldest daughter. Instead of wallowing at home, he went on dates like a single 20-year-old. She was old and had been getting more attention than she deserved. When she found out her friend was dating her ex, she kept it to herself, assuming it was out of pity. But when the second date happened, she confronted Connie privately. Her voice was noticeably raised. "I thought we were friends," Lauren exclaimed. "You're supposed to. It's important to support each other, but he didn't hurt you, Lauren. He's a great guy. In fact, he's everything I look for in a man. Why shouldn't I date Trev? Women are lining up for him. He's prime dating material, and he's a true gentleman. Plus, he's great in bed. I'd go out with him." Lauren was taken aback when she heard how he described her. She was starting to realize that her error was snowballing. She loved Travis and despised returning to an empty house each day, dreading sleeping alone at night. Travis, on the other hand, never envisioned his life becoming so eventful. He would have been content with his old, mundane routine. Yet apart from that, life was treating him well. He enjoyed the company of women of various ages, with many of his dates leading to closeness. He wasn't actively seeking a long-term commitment, but he relished the variety. There was more to life than being married to a beautiful woman. He was open to a long-term commitment, but he enjoyed the variety that came with being in a relationship. Mara Goodling was a great sport and had a shoulder-length haircut. Her silver hair with streaks of purple was pulled back into a ponytail beneath her Chicago Cubs baseball cap. Her snug blue Cubs t-shirt accentuated her ample chest, while her light blue Levi's hugged her figure like those of a 20-year-old despite her being 60 years old. Seated in the left field bleachers at Wrigley Field, she garnered more than her fair share of attention. Among those admiring her was Travis Wesley. The ex-Travis and Mara had been married for a while, but they were still on good terms. Mara had worked with Lauren Wesley for over 15 years, and I'd met Travis at a few company events where he'd been with his ex-wife. He always struck me as a nice guy. Mara said she knew that Travis and Lauren had split up about 2 years ago, while Mara had been widowed for around 5 years when her husband passed away in a car accident. During this time, she had only been on one date. After that, she decided to get Travis's phone number. Yes, Travis remembered her. He found it hard to forget a woman who exuded both elegance and beauty. He would be interested in having dinner with her. Absolutely, he agreed. This occurred several months prior to the present moment. Their initial date unfolded at a high-end restaurant. They ended up at a restaurant, followed by a concert at the Philharmonic with Mara providing tickets. The evening concluded with a kiss at her doorstep. Their second date involved a Saturday hike during which Travis took intermittent breaks, prompting giggles from Mara. It turned out she and her late husband were avid hikers and climbers. Despite Travis's belief in his fitness, he discovered he was mistaken. He also learned of Mara's toned physique for her age and captivating gray eyes. The date culminated in tender lovemaking on Mara's living room rug following a passionate make-out session on her sofa. Mara's blend of sophistication and girl-next-door charm intrigued him. Travis was charmed by Mara. She was really enthusiastic when he suggested a weekend of sightseeing in Chicago for their third date. On their first outing, Mara told him that she didn't intend to tell Lauren about their relationship. She said that she wouldn't deny it if asked, but that she had no intention of doing so. Mara also told Travis that Lauren had told her colleagues that she and Travis were divorcing due to irreconcilable differences. Travis repeated the same story he had told others. Lauren had cheated on him with at least 2 other men, but he hadn't gone into more detail in the 2 years since. Divorced Travis has fostered several robust relationships and enjoys what he considers an exceptional sex life. His partners held him in high regard, with some aspiring to be more than just partners, while Travis aimed to rebuild trust in women and pursue marriage. Lauren had different intentions, as she had disclosed to her then-husband before their initial date. She sought only carnal gratification, though she still allured many. She wasn't seeking emotional connections like most of her companions. This fundamental contrast between the ex-Jackie was really struggling with this. She was already super busy with wedding preparations, which her dad was funding, and Lauren suggested that both parents attend the wedding unaccompanied to ease tension. Jackie was really grateful for the idea and told her dad about it over lunch that week. Travis wasn't happy. He said he was footing the bill for the wedding and he was going to bring a lady with him. Enjoy it with my date. Have you taken dance lessons, as I have? I specifically took dance lessons for my wedding. It's rather endearing. No buts, Jackie. She's trying to pressure me. She's acting selfishly to sway the situation in her favor. I'm sorry, but I won't attend my daughter's wedding without a date. If you lack the courage to inform her, then I certainly will. She can come alone or with a date of her choice. I'll bring mine. I understand, Dad. I'll talk to her. I appreciate your perspective and am eager to see you dance, but could you perhaps bring someone closer to your age? I can accommodate that, but do watch Sonia and me dance. Travis beamed, receiving an equally wide smile in return. Travis escorted Connie Mayon to the wedding despite their disagreement over the sea green dress he purchased for her. Travis reasoned that as the father of the bride, clad in she needed a new dress, which he was happy to pay for. He also bought shoes for her. Walking his eldest daughter down the aisle was one of the most bittersweet experiences for Travis. It was everything other fathers had described, but he still thought it was a wonderful day. Connie and his children enjoyed the celebrations, dancing late into the night. The only awkward moment was when his ex-wife arrived with her date, while Travis remained indifferent. While Travis was indifferent, his wife arrived with her own date. The man spent much of the wedding looking at Travis and later at several women, acting like a drunk. Jackie asked him to leave. Lauren quickly took him to the restroom and confronted Connie, saying she was stealing her man. Connie calmly denied it, saying Travis Lauren had divorced Mitch before they started dating. She was quiet, letting Connie leave without any more trouble. Mitch didn't want to ruin the family's special day a few months after the wedding. Michelle visited her dad and seemed a bit nervous. Mitch watched her for a moment before asking, "What's up, Mitch? You've seemed kind of on edge all evening." Michelle blushed and started to stammer. Travis sensed something was up. "Dad, you know, Mom sometimes talks about reconciling with you, about winning you back once she stops seeing other guys. Did you have any closeness with her?" "My personal life isn't your concern, young lady," Travis snapped. "I didn't sleep with your mother." "What's the issue?" "She has an STD. I overheard her conversation," Michelle replied. Michelle told her friends she had syphilis. She didn't mention it to her dad. Travis looked surprised, then sad. Michelle watched him from the corner of her eye. "I guess you're telling me because you're worried about me," Travis said. "But it's standard protocol to inform all potential partners about the disease so they can get tested." "I didn't know that," Michelle replied. "I'm worried about you, Dad," she replied. "I know Mom is still seeing other people. Some of my friends warned me that she's quite promiscuous. It's always awkward when a friend tells you your mom isn't perfect." A few days later, Travis received an unsettling call from Mara. He realized she shared Michelle's concerns and was likely also worrying about her own health. The answer is a resounding no. Travis assured Mara, "Believe me. I understand your worry, but I can't control my ex's actions." "Scandal is the kindest word I've heard about her lately," Mara remarked. In recent months, her extracurricular activities had become sideline gossip. It seems the longer she's single, the more she lets her guard down. Lauren leveraged her status as leverage to win Travis back. She was satisfied. 6 months after being declared cured, she was plotting her reunion. She still had some resentment toward Travis for initiating their divorce, which wasn't her original intent. She assumed he wouldn't dare divorce someone like her, thinking it unlikely he'd find someone of her caliber. Her plan might have succeeded if other women hadn't pursued Travis, confident in her allure. She couldn't believe that Travis was as drawn to others. "I know he's great, but can't these women see he's not on my level?" she said to Rose one evening as they waited for their dates to arrive. Rose encouraged her friend's lifestyle, underestimating Travis's depth and expecting Travis to sulk while she enjoyed herself. Lauren and Rose kept tabs on him after the ultimatum, only to find that his post her ex-husband's life after the divorce was pretty similar to hers. If Lauren were honest, she might admit her ex-husband was. While her husband's emotional fulfillment seemed superior, Travis genuinely enjoyed dates. Lauren confined herself to her circle, though without closeness, after her STD scare. She noticed a prolonged lull and wondered if it was time for her and Travis to reunite. Travis was taken aback by the voice on the other end of the line. He hadn't spoken to his ex in a long time. It had been almost 2 years since he'd spoken to her. One of his daughters must have given her his new cell phone number, but he hadn't forbidden them from doing so. He made it clear he saw no need for direct communication with her again. "Trevor," she said in her sweetest tone, "I think it's time for us to talk. I thought we agreed not to talk until he got married, but since that hasn't happened yet, maybe we'll go back to silence." Travis replied, still the same. "Travis, you're still trying to deny that you love me, but deep down you know you want me back. You might have thought about cheating on me and keeping it hidden, but that would have been deceitful. She admitted that it was still cheating. Lauren, just because you told me you were going to do it doesn't make it any less real. You did it because you thought I'd never leave you. Do you think so little of me? Travis said, I know you think you're a 10. I think you're a 12, but beyond that, you're beautiful. I don't need to live in your shadow. The past few years have shown me that I'm more than just the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women want what I have to offer and are willing to reciprocate emotionally. My recent years have been wonderful. Why would I want to date a selfish woman again who clearly doesn't show me respect and prove you love me the way I loved you? That's what he said after hanging up. Travis turned to the woman beside him, ready for round 2. He asked Sonia. Sonia eventually found her soulmate and married him, but Connie and Marla continued their relationship with Travis. He loved both of them in his own way. He found someone else, but he never remarried. They loved him in their own way, and they both accepted this dynamic. A few years later, both women were invited to his second daughter Michelle's wedding. Lauren didn't like it because she wasn't invited. She complained to her daughter, but Michelle didn't sympathize. She knew about Jackie and her family, and she knew about Connie and Mara are the two people in Dad's life closest to him. Michelle replied, they love him for who he is and put him before their own interests, which not everyone can say about themselves. Travis was happy with his life, even though it wasn't what he'd hoped for. He'd left a situation he didn't like, but Lauren was still attractive and had plenty of opportunities. She was often approached by men and had several short-term relationships. In the long term, none of the relationships she had lasted. Looking back, she regretted telling her then-husband she was leaving him. She still couldn't accept that Travis had given up on her so easily. How could she have misjudged the situation so severely? She was a 12 out of 10, but he was only a 6. It shouldn't have ended this way.